Hi, and welcome to Worldwide Drums. I hope this episode helps. Okay, we have our skin installed on the flesh ring and the retainer ring on the drum, and we're ready to lace. The important thing here is to make sure that you're evenly distributed on the drum. You don't want one side low, one side high. You want it to be very even. And what I like to do is bring it flush all the way to the top. So I don't try to pull this down to where it's eventually going to be. I bring it right to the top of the drum because as I tighten it, it's going to work its way down. And even if it's higher at first, over the life of the drum, it will work its way down as you continue to tighten it and tune it. So I put my rings right at the very top to start with. This drum is an Ivory Coast drum, so it has a ridge cut in it, which is very nice. It holds the ring in place. Some drums don't have that. Drums from Mali tend to just be smooth, and the ring might have a tendency to ride up and down. Don't worry about that too much. What you want to focus on is keeping this even up here, and don't worry too much about where this ring is sitting. If it gets a little cockeyed, it's too hard to chase this ring and make it come out. The important thing is that it comes out even on the top. Let's get started. We have our rope. We're starting with our first loop. The little trick I told you earlier about bending those loops out right now comes into play because the loops are very accessible. We run up through that loop and down through the loop next to it. Now we're going to tie the knot. We just make a loop in the knot, and we have our beginning knot. I like to smooth them out and get all the rope laid down nice and flush. I push it right back up to the top again because that's where I want it to be. Then I start and I work my way to the other end of the rope. Just go ahead and pile that rope on the floor. Rope is rope, so it gets tangled, and just take your time. This is where you want to start from the beginning and work your way all the way around. You don't want to try to center the rope up and then do half the drum and then the other half, because what you want to do is end back here and then use this to tighten your drum for the final stage. I have the end of my rope. We're coming down through one of the loops. I tend to hang on to this end and pull that all the way through. Okay, I have my first vertical. We're almost there. The next trick, this helps out quite a bit. What I use is a bungee cord. You can also use a piece of rope. And what I do is I go to the opposite side of the drum, and I hang this bungee cord up here, and I hang it down here. And that holds my ring up in place. So now I'm not fighting this ring flopping around while I'm trying to lace my drum on the other side. So I can come back around this way. If you don't have a little bungee cord, just a piece of rope will do. And all I do is just do a simple knot. It doesn't have to be anything fancy. You're just trying to hold that ring from falling. And you're done. So then you can come back over here and finish off your verticals. I've come down this side and I'm working away from this knot. So I'm working around this way. I'm going to come back around. I'm going to end here. So I come back up through here. So it's always down one side, up the other. You come back up and you go through. It shares. There are always two ropes inside each one of these loops. If you find that you're doing this, you're off one. So you always want two ropes, up and then down again. And back to the tip that I told you earlier, guide the rope up. Don't try to just pull it up like this. You're going to end up losing the whole skin on the top of the drum. This is flowing pretty well. I have new rope here, but I tend to still just guide the rope up. I don't ever want to be pulling or moving this ring up here because I have that nice and centered. So whatever I do, I keep that top ring in play. Another tip, you're not tightening the drum at this point. You're just getting the rope on the drum. So just get the rope on. It doesn't have to be tight. It can be that loose. Work your way around it, but just get the rope on the drum first. I know a lot of people, they try to get it all tight and even. That doesn't work. You have to do it in stages. Again, we're going to guide this down from the top. I actually push the rope down through because I don't want this ring moving at all. And what you don't want to do, as I said earlier, is do one of these, which seems like you're making a lot of progress, till this happens, and you're pulling on it and the whole head comes off. And you can also see that it's coming up over here. Now the bungee cords help hold it down so you don't have that classic mistake of pulling the whole skin off the drum, but a lot of people will be pulling their ropes through and they'll do one of these things and then they're starting all over again. Their rope's off, their head's off. Sometimes that happens when you're halfway around the drum. So take your time, don't do that. Keep it centered. Guide your rope down.